Thanks everyone for being with us today. It's a pleasure. My name is Hani Abughazaleh. I'm product manager at Engaging Networks. And we have also with us today Aaron, who is the CEO and co-founder of Chariot. And together, we're actually excited to announce a new feature that we've been working on together, which is enabling a new donation option for donor-advised funds to be available within the Engaging Networks platform. We're sure this will surely boost your fundraising efforts, and it's a very simple and easy integration to your already existing donation pages. So this is us. And moving over to the agenda, we'll talk a little bit more about donor-advised funds, and then we'll have some live demonstration to show how this feature is enabled and how it works within the Engaging Networks platform, and then we'll move over to Q&A. So with that, I'll hand over the mic to Aaron, where he is going to talk with us a little bit more about donor advised funds. So over to you, Aaron.
Thank you, Hani. And it's great to meet everyone here. I'm Aaron. I'm one of the co-founders and COO of Chariot. I'm calling from New York City in the Midtown New York area. So don't mind the background honking if you hear some of that. I've been involved actually in the nonprofit space for 7 years. I started a small nonprofit related to food deserts and nutrition. So I know all the kind of pain points with DAFs from that side of the house as well. And I guess to begin, we could start with what are donor advised funds. I'm sure a lot of people already know, but in case anyone doesn't, simply put, they are accounts for charity. Individuals contribute to these accounts with cash or publicly traded securities or even crypto and get a tax deduction upfront. There's no capital gains either, so they're very tax efficient. And from there, donors can recommend grants to charity over time. And there's no payout rate or time requirements to give. So without reminding donors to give, money can sit idle. And finally, the last thing I'll say is you can't take the money back. So you can't, once the money's in there, it has to go to charity. You can't say, I want that money to, pay my rent or buy a new pair of AirPods or whatever it is. It has to go to the nonprofit. Next slide. So I guess they've been growing really fast. That's the interesting part. When they came out, they were mainly used by the super wealthy. They've actually been in existence since the 1930s, but it was really in 2016 that they started to see a lot of growth. And just through the numbers, in 2016, there were like 250,000 accounts. Last year, there were 1.3 million accounts, or 2 years ago, actually, there were 1.3 million accounts with over 2 million donors. So that's like 500% growth. There are a few reasons for this growth. Number one, no account minimums. So in the past, it used to cost $25,000 just to set up a donor advised fund. Now you can open them up with no minimum. The second is there's lower fees. So some DAFs, like Daffy, they're a modern DAF, they charge $3 a month, which is like less than a Netflix subscription. And then finally, they're offered as an employee benefit. There's just an article actually Morgan Stanley put out that they're going to be offering all their employees, in addition to 401ks, DAFs. And obviously that's been leading to their growth as well. And I guess, you might not know this, but the first thing I'll say is DAFs, DAFs can't really be given online currently. When you think about online giving, around $63 billion was given online. That's credit card, PayPal, Apple Pay, Google Pay, Venmo, all the ways that donors like to give online. But there's no way to give online with your DAF currently before Chariot. And that number, even without that, the fact that there's no online giving, $46 billion went to nonprofits in 2021. So even that, offline DAF gifts were still 46 billion. And something to mention is they're much, much larger than other non-cash asset classes. We like to say that DAFs aren't really non-cash assets. They're actually much closer to cash if you think about it, because the donor can easily give with their DAF. And on top of that, if you look at the numbers, they're 7 times larger than stock giving and over 650 times larger than crypto giving. And that even underestimates how much larger they are than both those asset classes, because most stock and crypto giving actually is going into a donor advised fund mostly. So that's all to say that they're growing really fast. They're a really important part of philanthropy. But the problem is that today's donation forms are unable to support DAF donations. The current process is a bit arduous and very disconnected. You could go to the next slide. If a donor gets solicited, they have to go back to their DAF portal, find the nonprofit by their EIN, submit a few forms, and finally click submit. In payments, obviously, this added steps is unneeded friction and gives donors many points to drop off. And furthermore, none of DAF giving is at the point of inspiration, right? You can't give when you get a link from your friend or you see an ad on Instagram or you're at an in-person event or you're on a nonprofit's website. You have to go back to your DAF portal, fill out all these steps. And it's really missing a big part of philanthropy. And that's just the donor side. So there's obviously the bad donor experience, which we spoke about, the 15 clicks, 10 redirects, but there's also a lot of problems for the nonprofit, right? The first is there's very manual and inefficient processes, a lot of reconciliation that you have to do on your end, finding checks. The anonymous checks come in from different DAFs. You don't know who the donor is. The donor can't even submit their email to you, even if they wanted to within the DAF. Like the most they can give is their address and their name and their account name. Many times you'll just get a check that says the Smith Fund, and you have no idea, you have 20 different Smiths in your donor database. There's lots of problems there. And then obviously the DAFs are not really part of any type of inspiration-based giving, right? Whether that's peer-to-peer or whether that's just, being on a donate form and being inspired to give. So that's where Chariot comes in. And Chariot is with Engaging Networks, we're working together and providing an integrated payment option that allows donors to give with their DAF in 3 simple clicks directly on your nonprofit's website. And just to give kind of an overview of like what we think of this integration, the first thing I'll say is it's super easy to get it up and running. You can, I think Hani will go through a demonstration just to show what that process is like. But for your donors, both it's easy, and then for the nonprofit to set this up, it's super simple. You just have to sign up with an account for Chariot. We'll get into the specifics, but I just want to highlight that as well, that like you can get started today. Obviously, we know giving season is coming up, and we want to make sure that nonprofits are able to capitalize on these DAF gifts. And I guess finally, like if I just had to summarize how this integration will help your DAF strategy, I'll put it in a few different buckets. The first we mentioned, which is the ideal donor experience and conversion. The second is larger donations. So DAF gifts are much larger than credit card. On average, DAF gifts are $4,800. The average credit card transaction is obviously closer to like 200. So that's obviously very important for your nonprofit. And the third thing I'll mention is the staff burden. So I spoke about that a little bit, but obviously having all this, not having to reconcile the gift, having it right and knowing it's coming, having that awareness is very important. The fourth is obviously identifying these DAF donors. They're super high value donors, and you can uncover these relationships and start to develop them right away, right when they make that gift. You know who they are. You can email them, thank them for their gift, start to develop a real relationship with them. And the final thing is obviously thanking these donors, right? When you give a DAF gift currently, it's so hard to thank the donors. You either have to send a personal mail or, and that's a month later. There's no sense of immediate feeling of being thanked for your gift, which is obviously now possible with the Engaging Networks and Chariot integration. So I'll hand it back to Hani.
Thanks a lot, Aaron. So to talk a little bit more about this integration, the first step that is needed is to actually register for a Chariot account. The link is provided here, is also provided in our platform, and I'll go ahead and provide a live demonstration of that. So you would go to the Chariot page and you would sign up there as a nonprofit. And then through that, you would actually select, the Engaging Networks tile here to activate this sort of integration. After that, you would go to the Engaging Networks platform, where in 3 steps, you can actually set up that integration. The first is defining a new payment gateway, then defining a donation setting in the campaign page, and then enabling that donor advised fund as a payment option within a form block. Now, to show this type of integration, let me go ahead and switch here to the Engaging Networks platform. In the Engaging Networks platform, if you log in as a super admin, you would want to go to the account settings. Under account settings, you can go to the gateways option, and over here, click on new payment gateway. Under the select gateway option, you can just type in Chariot and select the Chariot gateway selection here. Now, with this, we included the link that I just mentioned earlier, so you can create an account in Chariot if you haven't already done so. But let's say you did create that account, so you would just type in your EIN number here. And for test mode, you would want to have this checked in case you are doing some sandbox testing, not in a live environment. So just to clarify, if this is going to be a live environment with live donations, then this needs to be unchecked. Once you actually save that, you will have that option. One second. There it is. You will have the option here as the Chariot gateway set up as a new payment gateway. So that's the first thing. Now, the second thing is you will go to your existing donation pages, and then you would click on this admin setting. You would go to the donation setting, and you would define Charioteer. So if you want to go through that together, we'll click on this link, which is I would like to add another merchant account or add support for digital wallets. You would select the Chariot option from here and click on add. And that's it for this second option, and click on save. After that, the third step is to go to the donation page, click on edit, and then go to the area or the form block that you would want to show this payment option in it. If you click on edit, you only need to check this box to enable digital wallet buttons. So just a matter of checking this box to actually enable this feature. Once you do that, by the way, you will have this cog here, setting cog. If you click on it, there are under the Chariot button section here, there are different themes that you can select for the Chariot button, how it will show in the platform. So that's for further customization. And once you click on save, that's pretty much it. So you only need 3 steps to enable the donor advised fund functionality to show within your pages. Now let's take this for a test drive. So let me just open this page here. Okay. Now, obviously, this is a very simple donation page that we set up for demonstration purposes. Nothing to match what our clients have for them. I would like to mention one important point here is the currency. So donor advised funds, they're only based on US dollar currency. So if any other currency is selected here, then the donor will not be able to see the donor advised fund button. So that this has to be US dollar currency. Let's say, select an amount here and then, type in the information.
And while Hani's typing this in, all this information that he's putting will be tied to the transaction, which you'll see as well, which is obviously something that you've never really had before with donor advised fund gifts. Like he's typing in his email so that your nonprofit can reach out to him.
Yep. And so now with this page, I actually have this additional option, which is the donor advised fund option, in addition to other payment options that can be available to the donor. If I click on this button, this brings up Chariot's own pop-up that includes the different donor advised funds that they have set up. Let's say for this demonstration, we select Fidelity Charitable and then go ahead and log in with a test user. Click on next. So now the donation amount that the user selected over there is shown over here that I can triple or double, etc. And I just simply click on submit. And that's it. Now the donation has gone through as a donor advised fund donation. Now, once that happens, if I go back here to the slide, in the Chariot account dashboard, you will see this donation right here under all transactions. It will have a status initiated in addition to a Chariot ID that is automatically generated for it and additional information for the donor. Also, at the same time, in the Engaging Networks platform, and I'll show this in a moment, you will also have this transaction with a status of pending. Now, the idea here is once a donor-advised fund is initiated, it is received by the charity through two ways. Number one, through a wire transfer, and number two, through a paper check. So it's not like an immediate transaction that occurs where you have the funds immediately. And that's why here in Chariot, we have the initiated status, and in Engaging Networks, we have the pending status. Now, once the funds arrive, then in the Chariot dashboard, you can select this checkbox to enable to change the status to become received. And then you can use the information here from a Chariot ID perspective and from user perspective to update that status within Engaging Networks. Now, to do that, we can go back here. Let me close out of this. Oh, oops, sorry. I can go to data and reports, click on lookup supporter, and I can, for example, use my email here, what I had selected there. Then click on this box. Oh, I need to refresh this page, sorry. Okay, so if you click here on the single donations, you will see this transaction here for Chariot Gateway. So as you can see here, the gateway says Chariot Gateway. The status is pending. That's the $400 that we initiated. In addition, we have here the Chariot ID and some additional information like payment type showing test staff. And it shows here test because that's the option, the checkbox that we did in the first step when we enabled the payment gateway. So let's say, the funds arrived. So I can just simply click on here and change this to success and click on that and accept. And now I have recorded this as a successful transaction that took place. Now, from a bookkeeping perspective, all of these are recorded as transactions like any other transactions that we have in the platform. They are an FBS transaction, and those what will show in our database. So that is a quick demonstration of how to enable the DAF or donor advised fund option to show in the Engaging Networks platform. It's a very simple process, literally actually 4 steps. First, you need to create an account with Chariot. Then you need to enable the payment gateway and Engaging Networks, and then enable the donation option within the page, and then check that box to enable digital wallets. So all in all, that's really the simple steps that you would follow really in the end just to supercharge your fundraising. And that's it from us. We can open the space now for Q&A.
Yeah, I'll also say one more thing about the Chariot ID. Do you mind just going back to that? Because I want to clarify something about it. So that Chariot ID is a 5-digit unique identifier, like transaction record, basically. That will come both on the check or wire that you receive, and it'll show up in your Engaging Networks and Chariot transaction dashboard. So that'll basically make the reconciliation process very simple. So you'll be able to know exactly what that transaction was that just happened, and you'll be able to tie it to the check or EFT that comes from the various DAF providers. And in the chat, I just put the wait times, or I guess the different types of methods that DAFs send checks and how long you kind of expect that to come for the various DAFs that we work with.
Thanks, Aaron.
Thanks for covering that. Yeah, just confirming again what was just said, just that the actual transaction is coming from the DAF. It's not, Chariot isn't involved in that sense. Yeah, so we do have a couple other questions here. Just wanted to address one that was earlier on when you were showing Hani some of the interaction with the form. Someone is asking, like Christy is asking, if it does it have to be branded with Chariot on the top? Is that something that could be changed? I guess I assume that they probably want their organization on there somewhere, or just taking some of that branding off.
Just to check, are we talking about the actual button here? Let me just go back. Are we talking about this specific button? I think
it was the pop-up, Ronnie. The pop-up that comes up after you click that. Yeah.
This one? Yeah. I think this is... yeah, I don't think we have much control over that. So it's coming from Chariot.
Okay, noted. Appreciate that. Somebody is talking about some more questions about just how the funds are transferred. Once the funds hit the bank, they need to go into engaging networks and update the status from pending to success. Just making sure that they read that or they followed you correctly on that. Is that the correct procedure?
Exactly. So the funds will not arrive immediately, and depending on the method, whether wire transfer or a or paper check, once the funds arrive, then yes, you would need to update that status manually.
Okay, great. Appreciate that. I'm gonna be just going through from here on out as best I can, unless something ties in. Two questions are related, just at the earliest at which we received these questions as they came in. Someone is asking if this is available for an e-commerce cart in symbolic giving as well.
I can answer that one. Currently, that digital wallets aren't enabled on the e-commerce symbolic. It's now symbolic pages type, but we could potentially have a look at that, what that would look like to open that up.
Perfect. So that's a something we can continue to talk about for sure. And if that's something that really matters for your strategy, please do let us know, and we'd love to make note of that. Got a question here that says, speaking about integration, what donor databases do Chariot interface with? They say they currently use BBCRM.
Do you mind repeating that question? I just missed a little bit of that.
Yeah, sorry. As far as integrations go, what donor databases does Chariot interface with? They use BBCRM.
Got it. So Chariot, I mean, I guess what I would say is any way that you push data from engaging networks currently, I would think of it very similarly here. So if, for example, all that transaction data is coming into engaging networks and you take the credit card data and push that to BBCRM, you would do something similar here with the DAF gives.
Perfect. Thank you for that. I don't know if we want to get into this now or if this is a sliding scale, but it's how does Chariot charge clients or us or the donors? Is there a charge from engaging networks to activate the integration?
So with engaging networks, we have our own standard charge that we have for the transactions. And I believe for Chariot, they have a 2.9%, I believe, Aaron.
That's correct. Yeah. So Chariot charges a 2.9% fee. I think it can be offset to the donor if you have a way for it to cover transaction fees. I don't know if all the nonprofits I've seen on engaging networks have that ability. That would be an engaging networks question, but if you do have the ability, then yeah, that can be offset to the donor.
Perfect. And we do have that functionality within engaging networks. So that's definitely something you can talk to us more about if you need to know more about that feature. Will pending gifts show in quick reports, data reports, visual or data, or in the tally tool? We may have covered that, but I think if somebody can confirm that.
I can confirm that they come through the tally tool. Visual and pending, we can double check on. It's usually successful ones we surface to those points.
Sorry, we lost you a little bit there on the end, Dan, at least for me anyways, but I think we got the general gist there.
Yeah, I believe successful transactions are the ones that show up on the visual reports.
Perfect. Okay, thank you for that. Does the donation sync to your database before it is received and marked success or after?
Both. So the first time it's recorded, it just shows there a status pending. And then once it's updated, it shows that it's updated.
Perfect. Okay. Someone's asking, can you show us what happens when a DAF is not on the list that Chariot has?
Yeah, I can pull that up if that would be helpful. I don't know if Hani, you want to do it or I can do it, but
go ahead. Feel free.
So I can't share while you're sharing.
Oh, it's okay. I can just open up the page here quickly. That's okay.
Perfect.
while you're pulling that up, does this is related to one that was just before that, the engaging networks fee, is that still applying on top of the Chariot fee for transaction fees? And same as all cash donations is the question.
I believe so, yes. So, Aaron, would you like me to press
Yeah,
this?
maybe click. Why don't you search like Washington or something? Maybe just I know you're in Virginia area, so and pick maybe the third one or fourth one, whatever. Yeah, either of those doesn't really matter. So if someone clicks a DAF that we're not yet integrated with, we have over 70% of the $234 billion market. The donor has two options here. And the first, we're really obsessed with conversion. So we want to make sure that they don't get off the page. So the big call to action is return to my donation and give with another way. So that's PayPal, Venmo, credit card. But if the donor is really, really set on giving that way, they can choose to navigate to their portal. If they click Community Foundation right there, and they click that would take them directly to the portal of their DAF, and that they can make the gift there. But again, the main call to action is just to get them to give with another means.
Perfect. Okay, thanks for walking through that. Another question here. Do you know if Roy is aware of Chariot? Do these transactions integrate with Roy?
I'm sorry, what was the question again?
Do we know if Roy is aware of Chariot and if these transactions integrate with Roy as a integration?
We recently announced that Chariot donor advised fund. So I think a couple of weeks ago. So this is a very new platform, and we're already in communication to announce that with all our partners and our clients.
Okay, great. And Clint, our COO there in the chat, just confirmed as well that Roy is aware as well to further answer that. So thanks for that, Clint. And Hani for walking through that as well. Does Chariot integrate with Freewill?
Yeah, Chariot does integrate with Freewill. They're more of like a planned giving tool. So it's kind of a separate integration. If you think about DAF giving, like there's obviously many ways to think about it, but when it comes to the engaging networks integration, that would be like a donate page, individual giving. But also there are ways to use Chariot and as a planned giving tool, and Freewill is one of our integrations.
Perfect. We also have a question about some more specific ones here about online credit card donations. So online credit card donations are sometimes rejected by Stripe, PayPal, and other payment gateways. For example, due to fraud, will DAF donations via Chariot get rejected sometimes too? And if so, how often should we expect this to happen and why?
Yeah, so the first thing I'll say is there's no the donor advised fund money is not really the donors anymore. It's actually the funds, technically. They've already given that money to charity. So they're never really refunds or anything along those lines, the same way you have with credit card or with other types of means. Very, very rarely. We actually, I'd say over 99% of the time, all transactions that are initiated go through. That's because we do many checks before initiating the transaction. So we make sure that the donor has enough in their account balance to make the gift. We make sure that the nonprofit that is being paid can be paid by that DAF. We make sure that they are in good standing with the IRS and have the proper EIN. So all that stuff is already checked. So I would say very, very infrequently does that happen. If it does, feel free to reach out to us, and we're happy to obviously refund you for that gift if you don't receive it for some reason or another. But or refund you, I should say, for the fee from that gift. But again, that rarely happens. It's not been a big problem.
Perfect. Thanks for that. And I did see that Jill, your comment is being addressed as well internally here as far as getting you set up. But please make the note if anybody is interested and don't know where to start. Please don't feel free to reach out directly to your account success manager, or really anybody on our team can get you in the right place for that. Another question here. Sorry, I lost my track here. Is this queryable on the data export as a transaction type? This type of transaction?
When you do an export for a CSV file, yes, you'll see those transactions listed there. They will be listed under an FBS transaction, and it will clearly say that this is a Chariot gateway transaction.
Perfect. Thanks for that answer. Just a few last questions here. So if anybody does have any other questions, please feel free to drop them in there. But is the I think they meant the 2.9% fee charged at the time the DAF is initiated or when marked successful?
It's charged at the end of every month, actually. So it's billed monthly. And so it's not immediate. So that's kind of why we give time to make sure that those grants are received. And but it's charged on initiation, not on marking it successful.
And then the other one here that our last question, I think we have not covered, and if we have, apologies, but maybe we can restate it. Do we know if the funds are sent from the DAFs as bulk gifts, i.e. one check month, or one wire a month, or via an individual gift? And then they said that maybe it depends on the DAF. So any conclusive answer on that?
Yeah, they hit it right on the head. It definitely depends on the DAF. What I would say is a lot of DAFs, they'll send just one-off checks, especially if you don't receive a lot of them. But I would say usually, assuming you're receiving not many DAF gifts from that DAF, it'll come as one gift. But it really does depend on the DAF. Sometimes, like Fidelity, for example, will send many bulk gifts at the same time through like electronic funds transfer. And then you'll have like Schwab sometimes will send a check here, a check there. But regardless, no matter how it comes, you'll have the Chariot ID tied to each transaction. And it will be clear that there's multiple transactions within the check. So maybe they'll send one check that has $1,000, but that could be, or $10,000, but that could be 3 different grants. And it'll clearly indicate which ones are which.
Perfect. So it depends, basically. Okay, thank you for that. One other question came in here. Can you have a primary gateway, i.e. Payflow Pro, and several digital wallet gateways all on the same Engaging Networks donation page? Is that a possibility for our team here?
Yep.
Okay. Answer is yes. Perfect. And if you have any question about how to do that, once again, please let us know. I'm happy to point you in the right direction, get you set up there. That is all the questions I am seeing currently. If I did forget anybody, please chime in on the chat, or if you think of a question after the fact, by all means, reach out to us, reach out to we can get you talking to Aaron directly as well if it's something that's really specific to Chariot that we are not able to answer ourselves. But yeah. That being said, this has been recorded, so if you need to go back over, and we covered a lot of ground as well about how to set this up, and this will be something you can view on demand when the recording comes out. So just wanted to thank everyone for being here, and please, let's keep this conversation going. Reach out and let us know if you have any questions along the way. But thank you, Hani, thank you, Aaron, for being a part of this. Thanks, Dan, for chiming in as well. Appreciate it, everybody.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you for having me. Have a good one, everyone.